Basement family, come in this basement with me. I had just recorded a video about the National Labor Relations Board, and before the day was over, everything has changed. So basically, just a quick catch up. Trump really thought he could just fire a Labor Relations Board member in the middle of the night, like a thief in the night. But a federal judge just clapped back hard, calling it blatantly illegal. And before we get into it, I just want to shout out one of the commenters who is in the basement with me. Shout out to Icy Watts for putting me onto this story, because I literally had just uploaded it and she was like, girl, everything has changed. So thank you, Icy Watts. You're the real MVP. So what happened? What does this mean for workers? Let's talk about it. You all are my favorite coworkers, and so in an effort to be more consistent, I'm not going to have the camera on today. I'm just going to talk about this because I swear when I'm recording one video, the next thing I know, a law has changed or something has changed. So I want to make sure to get these videos out and have them be timely and topical. But first, I want to talk about who are the players. I'm not going to go too deep into the backstory of this. I'm just going to give you a high-level overview because if you want to learn the backstory of the National Labor Relations Board, Gwynne Wilcox, and all the things, then watch this video, and I'll make sure to put the video right here. But let's meet the people involved really quick. So Gwynne Wilcox, she's the Labor Relations Board member that Trump tried to fire out of her job. Trump, you already know who he is. And Judge Beryl Howell, who is the one who just slapped Donald Trump's hand and said, no, you can't do that. Federal judge, love Judge Howell. So now that we know the players, let's get into this mess. So I think it was at 3 a.m. This is where most of us are either asleep or making bad snack choices. Meanwhile, Trump was sending out "you're fired" emails like this was the Apprentice government edition. And that seems to be what's happening. Like he's acting like he's on his Apprentice show without paying attention to what these federal agencies actually do. Or I suspect he knows what they actually do, hence why he's causing all this turmoil. But that's a whole nother video. So anyway, on January 28th, Trump fired Gwynne Wilcox and her colleague, Jennifer Abruzzo, from the National Labor Relations Board. Again, a short overview. This is the group that protects workers' rights to unionize, and it helps to settle disputes between employees and companies. Here's the kicker. Trump had several reasons, but none of them seem to be valid according to this judge. And so he wrote the letter and fired her. Again, you can't just fire a National Labor Relations Board member for no reason. It's literally against the law. The only way that they can be removed is for neglect of duty or malfeasance in office, which is a fancy way of saying they have to have seriously messed up. So Wilcox's lawyers came through with the receipts, pointing out that no president in 90 years has ever done this. And Judge Beryl Howell was like, Trump, you can't just make up new rules because you feel like it. Her exact words were, and I quote, his attempt to do so here is blatantly illegal. And so let's talk about what else this judge said, because the judge was not holding back, and I applaud them. Okay, so here is where Judge Howell enters the chat. And just so y'all know, Judge Howell isn't just some random judge. She was the chief judge of the DC District Court for 7 years. and has serious background in criminal law and government oversight. So she knows what she's talking about. And so she reviewed the case, and she literally said that this was an illegal action by President Trump. And basically, her exact words were, "An American president is not a king." So I do find it interesting and concerning that she really had to remind him that we have laws and checks and balances in this country. Again, wild. Wild seems to be one of my favorite words, but it is wild. She also pointed out that no president in 90 years has ever fired an NLRB board member because it's literally illegal to do so without cause. And she didn't stop there. Her ruling referenced a 1935 Supreme Court case, Humphrey's Executor, I believe, which protects independent government agencies from political interference. So, translation of all of that, Trump's firing spree wasn't just wrong, it was a direct attack on the separation of powers. And the judge made it crystal clear that in this case, the law was not on his side. And I'm going to read some more of what the judge said because she was not playing around. So she said, "The president seems intent on pushing the bounds of his office and exercising his power in a manner violative of clear statutory law to test how much the courts will accept the notion of a presidency that is supreme." And so this is what Judge Howell, the federal judge in DC, wrote in her decision to reinstate Wilcox. And she also said, in the 90 years since the NLRB's founding, the president has never removed a member of the board. His attempt to do so here is blatantly illegal, and his constitutional arguments to excuse this illegal act are contrary to Supreme Court precedent and over a century of practice. And I love this part. She said, "Under our constitutional system, such checks and balances by design guard against executive overreach and the risk that such overreach would pose of autocracy. An American president is not a king, not even an elected one. And his power to remove federal officers and honest civil servants like plaintiff is not absolute, but may be constrained in appropriate circumstances as are present here." So she told, this was a 36-page decision that she wrote. So this is an excerpt that I'm reading, but she said, "An American president is not a king." That is so important, you guys, because this is what things are looking like that type of overreach. Now, if it goes to the Supreme Court, we'll see what happens. But that type of overreach that he is trying to do is scary. And what she's saying is he is trying to test the boundaries of the law to see, okay, can I push this a little bit more? Can I push this a little bit more? And that could start to look like maybe he is trying to have absolute power regardless or despite what our constitutional laws state. So I have a copy of the court documents, and it is more than a 30-page ruling. So I will leave it in the link below so that you all can check it out and read it for yourself. Do I have any lawyers down here in the basement with me? Because I am curious about, if you do read through these court documents, what you think. Is there anything that we should know as American workers? I'd be curious about what you all say, because I know we have some variety of occupations down here in this office in the basement. So Now what's happening is, so Wilcox is officially reinstated, and I believe she will serve out her term until 2028. Of course, this ruling helps to keep the precedent, which is that presidents cannot just fire labor board members because they feel like it. And so that is that's what's happening. She has her job back, and this is what Wilcox said about the ruling. So, when interviewed about the ruling, Wilcox just seems so like humble and ready, like, and really cares about the American worker. She says, "I'm ready to get back to work," said Wilcox after the hearing in a speech outside the courthouse. She said, "It is not just about me, but I'm glad to be the face of this fight." Her attorney, Deepak Gupta, noted that this was the beginning of a long fight ahead. And Wilcox's attorney also was not playing games, even though he knows that there's a big fight ahead. He said in a statement, "This is a decisive victory that firmly rejects an extreme presidential power grab. Today's decision is a win not only for Ms. Wilcox, but also for the integrity of the National Labor Board Relations Board and its vital mission to protect American workers." And at the time of my recording, the White House had no immediate comment on the ruling. Okay, basement besties, just as I was wrapping up this recording, I just saw Trump is trying to appeal this judgment. So just as I was recording this, like I said, everything is happening this so fast. So just as I was recording this, news broke that Trump's team is already fighting back. They just filed an appeal to the U.S. Appeals Court for the D.C. Circuit saying, nah, we're not going to let this slide. And they're not just appealing. What they're asking for is an immediate stay on the ruling, which means they want the court to pause Wilcox's reinstatement while they fight it out. So just think about that. Like I said, without Wilcox, the board was inoperable, right? So it wasn't able to function. And so this is what it seems like the administration is trying to do, because if they can pause her reinstatement while this drags on in court, any cases that you have, for as it relates to National Labor Relations Board cases would also be stalled. So that seems to be what the attempt is. So they want the court to pause Wilcox's reinstatement while they fight it out in court. So even though she's reinstated now, this seems like it's going to go further. It's not quite over yet. So I am going to be keeping an eye on this case. And as soon as there's an update, y'all will be the first to know, or you'll be the first to let me know. And in the meantime, I want to hear from you, Basement family. Are any of you in unions? Have you ever had to take a case to the National Labor Relations Board? What do you think? Do you think the ruling should stand? Are you on the side of the law, or do you think that Trump should be able to do whatever he wants and that he has a case? Let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button. Please put on your bell notifications so that you can see what's coming. It's interesting. I'm not saying anything against the powers that be, but what I am saying is I am noticing that sometimes I've heard from some of the subscribers that sometimes you don't even get notified that my video is up. So please hit your bell notifications, because who knows, maybe this is information that even though it's in the news, they don't necessarily want you to know. So yeah. Let me know in the comments what you think, and subscribe if you're new here so that you don't miss the next update. This is going to be an interesting case to follow, and I will see you all next time.